and DJ Giddens in the backfield as well. But it is loud in Provo, the first play of the game, and that's a handoff straight ahead. Now is Giddens with the carry.
Well, you just saw it on the last graphic, Flem, between Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, and Dylan Edwards. Those three in the backfield account for 92% of the offensive production. Kansas State wants to establish the run.
Here's the first throw of the game, and a nice delivery out to Keegan Johnson, who got close, but I think they're going to spot that just a little bit short of the first down.
Good tempo out the gate for Kansas State. You can tell they want to put BYU on their heels, and one way to try to control a raucous home environment like this is to play with tempo. It makes it very difficult on the fans to make consistent noise.
Third and less than a yard. Johnson will hand the ball off, and getting through, Giddens gets the first down. He was maybe one stride away from a much bigger game. It's just so hard to stop the Wildcats on a play like that.
It really is. They know how to run the football with the best of them in the country. If Harrison Taggart doesn't get a hand on DJ Giddens and is able to bring him down, DJ might have broke that one for an early score.
So the first down of the game, it's the Wildcats who are out to their own 45. I tell you what, I know it's real early. Play fake. Johnson is going to throw on the move, and you see the arm strength. I know he hasn't thrown a whole lot, and everybody focuses on his speed. He's just blindingly fast, but man, he's got an arm.
Well, Flem, you talk about the arm strength. Let's also talk about the accuracy. There was maybe a 3-inch radius where you could put that football because the coverage was so tight, and Avery found a way to get that football in there. So the arm strength is there, the accuracy, all the intangibles you want in a young quarterback.
Gain of 9, so it's second and a yard. Giddens in the backfield along with Johnson. Play fake, going deep down the sideline, and just beyond the reach of Dante Cephas. Incomplete. It'll be third down.
Those are the plays that Avery Johnson is going to need to make from the pocket. BYU brought an extra safety down into the box to try to stop the run, so you got one-on-one man-to-man coverage on the outside, and Cephas won. That's the throw that the young quarterback, as he continues to grow and mature, needs to make.
An early big third down play, and DJ Giddens with a big hole into BYU territory. Kansas State on the ground. That's their bread and butter, and they convert the touchdown saving tackle made by Crew Wakely. So a first down for Kansas State. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni. Kansas State with the ball for the first time after they forced a 3-and-out from BYU to start the game. And now Giddens, part of that ultra talented Kansas State backfield, gets 3 on first down.
Well, I'll tell you what, Flem, I've been so impressed with how this Kansas State offensive line, how they've come out and have asserted their strength and their will early in this football game against a very stout BYU defensive line. We talked about in the open, Avery Johnson, just a true sophomore making his 5th career start. You have to take away the run if you're BYU, but right now Kansas State's pounding it down their throat.
He is so talented. You want to watch a guy who's got a chance to be the next big star in this sport? I mean, it could be Avery Johnson. Play fake for him. He's going to throw short to a tight end, and a hit right on his leg. That was Braden Lofton who held on, but may well get up slowly. That one had to hurt. So inside the 20 for Kansas State. Lofton will limp off the field. Avery Johnson, he's 19 years old. He's one of the biggest, maybe the biggest recruit in the history of Kansas State football. Hometown kind of kid from Wichita, down the road. He started last year in the bowl game, was the MVP of the bowl game in his first career start. And this is his 4th start of this year, and by far the toughest road environment he has faced. It is raucous inside LaVell Edwards Stadium. Johnson's going to throw toward the corner of the end zone, and it is incomplete.
Great coverage downfield. BYU, boy, they've really been on their heels the majority of this drive. Kansas State electing to put the football, trying to take a shot into the end zone on 1st and 10. Great job by the secondary. Really nowhere to go with the football. Great play on first down by the Cougars.
This was already the 10th play of this first Kansas State drive. And they're inside the BYU 20. 2nd and 10 with Dylan Edwards alongside. They're going to fake it to him. A blocker outside. Jaden Jackson gets the catch and then gets upended inside the 15 down to the 12 where it'll be 3rd down.
Boy, that was a phenomenal tackle by free safety Tanner Wall. Coming from the middle of the field, it was one-on-one on the outside, and if Tanner Wall doesn't make that tackle, Kansas State's walking in for the first score of the night.
We've talked already about the test for Avery Johnson. It's a test for BYU. They think their defense is a lot better this year. We're going to find out tonight. Third and 4. Some pressure picked up, and they blow the play dead. Man, a walk-in touchdown if Keegan Johnson hadn't seen those flags come flying. And maybe the crowd noise forced a procedure penalty.
Prior to the snap, illegal snap infraction. Offense number 75.
And that's what happens when Lavelle Edwards Stadium fills out at 65,000, juiced up under the lights. This is one of the most difficult venues to play in west of the Mississippi. And these fans have showed out early in this football game.
I mean, it's almost 9 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're just getting started. They've had to wait all day long. So now it's 3rd and 9. They're going to hand it off. Giddens makes a cut. Giddens is going down. So BYU's defense, they gave up a long drive, but they hold. And presumably, we'll see, yeah, K-State is going to send out the field goal team. Chris Tennant, their senior place kicker.
Boy, that was a great job by the 2 linebackers, Jack Kelly and Harrison Taggart for BYU. BYU elected to play with 2 safety high defense to take away the pass game. Kansas State ran the football. And those 2 linebackers rallied for the tackle.
32-yard try for Tennant. Good snap and hold, and that kick is up, and it is good. So Kansas State gets on the board first on the road. 13th ranked Wildcats take an early 3-0 lead.
Got it. Got some stragglers.
Yeah, you're looking good.
I got some stragglers.
Yeah, got it.
Their game plan.
Anchor that foot, man.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
David, there's a lot going on over here.
Yeah.
How good is that crowd?
Awesome. That's great.
Yes, they did.
And they switched to our game from a blowout. Like, finally, a rational decision. Yeah. No.
They heard us.
Yeah,
they heard us.
They heard us. We were complaining about that. Like, why wouldn't we do that?
I was like, send the blowout to the other one.
And welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. Just a gorgeous night in Provo, Utah. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler. And what more would you want from college football after dark? You got two good teams, undefeated teams. And, man, we told you it was going to be a great atmosphere. How good is this?
It's fantastic, and they've already played a role in the game, causing a false start with Kansas State on their opening drive, forcing them into a field goal.
So the field goal for the Wildcats puts K-State ahead. BYU's going to get the ball back now. Kansas State, we know they're a good team, Brock. Kansas State is a playoff contender, a conference contender. BYU's the team I think we're going to learn a lot about tonight. Undefeated, picked way down towards the bottom in the preseason poll in the Big 12. And I think they've been one of the surprises. And Kalani Sitake really believes that his team can win this game. How about our bear paint game plan?
Yeah, I think it's simple. Kansas State, keep doing what you've already done in this game. Control the line of scrimmage defensively, affect BYU's quarterback Jake Retzloff, and then offensively continue to rush the football 7 yards per rush. And then BYU, if you're going to win this football game, you're not going to completely take away the run game for Kansas State, but you have to find a way to slow it, take away the legs of Avery Johnson, don't let him extend plays outside the pocket, and force him to beat you with his arm from inside that pocket.
Now, the junior quarterback Jake Retzloff, he's got a lot of ability. He's had kind of an up and down career so far. He's going to be flushed out of the pocket, gets rid of it, and throws it incomplete. And that avoids the sack against a team that piles up the sacks and the tackles for loss.
Well, we just talked about it. Keys of the game, Kansas State. You see how disruptive that defensive front is, getting into the backfield essentially at the snap of the football. But credit Jake Retzloff for climbing the pocket and finding a way to save the yardage, maintaining 2nd and 10 and getting that ball thrown away.
This year the stats are a whole lot better. He's protected the ball better, although still some turnover issues. That's often the #1 thing for Retzloff. If he protects the ball, he makes a lot of big plays. He's a gunslinger. Slings that one in there, and it's caught. The turn upfield. One broken tackle, but not a second. Darius Lassiter, part of a pretty talented wide receiver group for BYU, and that's the Cougars' first down.
Very talented, and when you talk to the coaching staff this week, they say Lassiter is somebody that they have to get involved early on in the football game. He was one of the best wide receivers in terms of production for the Cougars last season, but off to a slow start. Somebody that they wanted to get the football in his hands early.
He had a moment last week in BYU's win at Wyoming where he and Retzloff kind of went at it. And he was frustrated. He was open. Retzloff missed him. So maybe a deliberate attempt to get him involved early. Retzloff from the pocket. That one incomplete. Just sailed it too far trying to hit Lassiter again.
You know, and we've given a lot of praise to Retzloff, and rightfully so. We just showed his numbers and his improvement from last year, and especially when you talk turnovers. I mean, shoot, the kid's, 13th in total offense in the entire country right now. But what you just saw, he's missed a couple wide open targets. And that is still one thing that he needs to continue to work on, is hitting those open guys. He's done good in quick game, pushing the ball downfield. But when targets are open, got to make the throw.
He's 1 for 5 to start this game, although he's had a couple drops already on BYU's first drive. 2nd and 10 from their own 28. Retzloff, an option style play, is going to pitch it, and that's Sione Moa, a young running back who got a couple yards out to the 30. Marquise Siegel, one of K-State's best players with the tackle.
Yeah, Siegel, just a fantastic player on the back end for Kansas State. How about that relentless pursuit by the defense? At the end of that picture, there was 5 or 6 Wildcats all there to make the tackle, and that's something that, this defense has done week in and week out.
3rd and 8. BYU has struggled on 3rd down this year, last year, for a few years. Retzloff on the move, a perfect delivery to Moa out of the backfield, and he turns it up for a BYU first down.
Great pickup on 3rd down. Keep your eye at the linebacker position. You see some fingers pointing, a little bit of miscommunication on the 2nd level, and Retzloff and Moa make the Wildcats pay on 3rd down and pick up a fresh set of downs.
Hinckley Rapati, L.J. Martin, 2 of the top backs for BYU, are both out tonight. So it's going to be the young guys, Moa and Haunga, who played well last week. That was Moa with a big 3rd down conversion. That was almost a backwards pass, and well defended by K-State. JoJo Phillips with the catch and run.
As you can see, yards against this Wildcat defense are hard to come by. It's a veteran defense. They returned 8 starters from a season ago, 5 of their top 6 tacklers back. And you can tell just the communication, the way they play together, the chemistry, it's on point. And to get yards on them, it is very, very difficult.
Well, the Big 12 is, it is a wild conference this year. But even just 4 weeks in, we're starting to get a little clarity. Retzlaff from the shotgun, being pressured, he'll throw, and another perfect throw right there to Keelan Marion into K-State territory for a BYU first down.
Great throw and catch by BYU. I love Retzlaff getting his eyes downfield, finding Keelan Marion, 6 foot 195, working on Keenan Garber, showing off his accuracy and toughness, taking a huge hit at the end of the play.
He makes a lot of big-time throws, and that's what excites you about Jake Retzlaff. He makes throws that most quarterbacks can't make, but he's also had those inconsistencies. Moa in the backfield along with him. He's going to go down. Had nowhere to go with the ball, and he gets sacked.
Nowhere to go with the football, and then Cody Stuffle being up front, big number 47 for Kansas State with the initial pressure. Then the rest of his teammates rally in for the sack. You said it, Flem. Great coverage downfield by the secondary. Nowhere to go with the football. But you know what? That is an improvement from Retzlaff from last year to this year. Last year, he might have tried forcing that football into coverage on a first down play. Instead, hey, listen, I get it. You don't want to take sacks. You don't want to lose yardage. But sometimes that is the best play with what the defense presents.
Lost 5 at 2nd and 15 from the K-State 45. Another design run. I don't know about those tonight against his Kansas State front. Retzlaff didn't have a lot of options there. If he pitched it, it was probably going to be worse.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. You know, you said it a few minutes ago, Flem. BYU is down their 2 starting running backs. So coming into this football game, Retzlaff is the leading rusher for the Cougars. But then on the flip side, you have to think about who they're playing, Kansas State. So, you know, very stout defense, especially against the run. You got to find a way to try to establish something, and that's what Aaron Roderick's doing early on in this football game.
Saw a shot of the BYU offensive coordinator. Maybe a spot here, try to get some of the yardage and then go for it on 4th down. Little screen pass set up, and Moa cuts it upfield, gets hit hard from behind, and falls forward to the 40. This would be an interesting decision here. Does BYU go for it?
Well, Flem, this is really no man's land. You're looking at 4th and 10 here. But you're also on the plus 41-yard line. So a punt doesn't gain you a ton. But going for it, the percentages aren't in your favor. It looks like Kalani Sitake is electing to punt the football and play field position early on. And, you know, with Kansas State having a young quarterback playing in a tough environment like this, I like the decision to play the field position game early.
Yeah, BYU they're much more confident in their defense this year. So Vanderhaar is going to try to pin the Wildcats deep. Fair catch signaled, and then the ball knocked back very nicely. Remember, in college, all you have to do is make sure the ball doesn't cross the plane of the goal line. So it will be loud and poor field position for Kansas State when we come back.
Hey, sorry I was so short on the on-camera.
ESPN College Football. ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, one loyalty program. Download the app.
Well, the last time these two teams met was in the 1997 Cotton Bowl. Two ranked teams, BYU number 5 in the country, and they held on to win 19-15. Many members of that team, one of the all-time greatest in the history of BYU football here on the field. Of course, the guy who was slinging it around the Cotton Bowl is not here tonight. Steve Sarkisian, the head coach of the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns. Well, here we go. Bad field position for K-State from their own 6. DJ Giddens alongside Avery Johnson. And Giddens will carry it. Right side, gets stacked up. Broke one tackle and got out close to the 9-yard line. Let's get our first check in studio tonight with Matt Berry. All right, thanks, Matt. Dylan Edwards now in the backfield, and he will empty the backfield. Might remember Dylan Edwards from Colorado's team last year. Johnson gets the ball snapped. Pocket sort of collapsing on him. He'll throw towards Edwards, and Edwards made the catch. Nice catch along the sideline there. Short of the first down by maybe a yard.
Yeah, great catch by Edwards. But even better coverage by the secondary for BYU. Really nowhere to go with the football for the young quarterback, Avery Johnson. Playing a zone 2-deep coverage. Looking to push the ball down the field, nowhere to go. Bringing up at a pivotal 3rd and short early on in this football game.
Play fake. Johnson's going to run. Johnson turns it upfield and gets the first down and more. Now that run doesn't totally display his breathtaking speed, but he can fly.
No, let's just say that when he gets out in the open, he's arguably the fastest player on the football field. Great job, though, by left guard 54 Hadley Panzer. You're going to see him pulling around, leading up for quarterback Avery Johnson. Great job by the offensive line on the pin and pull play to pick up a fresh set of downs.
So close to the end of the first quarter after that conversion. Avery Johnson was running wild on Arizona last week. Handoff right side and a nice gain for the Wildcats across the 25 out to the 27 on what will be the final play of quarter number 1. We got a good one in Provo. 3-0 K-State with the
Avery to beat them from the pocket.
Started this drive just outside their own 5-yard line. Edwards in the backfield, and I think K-State moved. Those kind of penalties pretty unusual against the Wildcats.
False start. Offense. Number 54. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
For a team that prides themselves on being disciplined, fundamentally sound technicians, and Kansas State normally is, but give a lot of credit to the fans here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. This noise is making a difference early on in the football game.
Second and 9, a fake of a jet sweep, and now there goes Johnson. Johnson to the sideline, and a good angle taken by the last hope for BYU. Tanner Wall, who forced him out of bounds, but a gain of 30.
Well, Flem, it's the jet sweep action that Kansas State presents as eye candy. And watch these linebackers flow with the jet sweep. And what happens when those linebackers flow, it cleans up a huge hole for Avery Johnson, and there's no one there for BYU to make the tackle.
If it weren't for Tanner Wall, that would have been a touchdown. So the first big play of the game. And now on first down, Edwards, who's got game-breaking speed, turns a corner, and he's got another Kansas State first down inside the 40.
You know, when you listen to defensive coaches talk, they say, listen, we need to be disciplined with our eyes. Where are our eyes? Are they on the keys? And 2 plays ago, you just saw BYU. The eye candy got them. That jet sweep, and that's why you send it. Sometimes you hand it off, but sometimes you're just using it as a distraction. And BYU took the bait. Kansas State made them pay.
And you make them pay with, do you think there's a combo quarterback running back in the country with more speed than Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards?
I think it's safe to say if they're not the best, they're certainly top 1, 2, or 3.
Just pure speed from those two. Now a quick hitter out to the right side, and a nice cut up field by Keegan Johnson, who's been involved early. Gets stopped about a yard short of the first down. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, guys, and speaking of the combined speed between Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards, you could tell it pained Avery a little bit in our conversation this week to admit that Dylan's faster, but it's very close. It's like by the minor miles per hour type situation. But he said, yeah, Dylan's the fastest guy on the team.
I want to see that race, Stormy.
Yeah, I do
Me
too.
too.
Of course, those two grew up together. They've known each other since they were like 8 years old. And now they're playing college football together. Giddens the handoff, and another first down for the Wildcats. So they started around the 5. They moved it inside the BYU 30. I love these photos. Look at those two.
It's so good. And look at the photo on the right. They were already running the zone read option back in Pee Wee football. That is so cool to see.
And Dylan Edwards, who was another highly recruited kid from Wichita, just like Avery Johnson. And Dylan committed to Notre Dame. Then he ended up at Colorado. But after a year with Coach Prime, he's back home playing with his buddy. Johnson scrambling. Johnson's going to run. And he'll go out of bounds. They've talked to him a lot about trying to avoid big hits. Got some positive yardage there. Back down once again to Stormy.
Well, and you guys talked about it. Avery and Dylan playing together for the Wichita Bears at 7 years old. Avery told me their dads were childhood friends, and Dylan's been his guy as far back as he can remember. And when Dylan hopped in the portal this past offseason, he said he was very quick to say, Dylan, we can use you. We can win. Let's do this together. And they have a lot of goals this year together.
Those goals are set pretty high. 10th play of this drive. On second down, a handoff. That's Edwards. And Edwards, who, I mean, he's got all that speed. He's got maybe a little more power than his 5'9", 167 frame would give away.
Oh, no question. I mean, with his height at 5'9", and that might be being a little bit gracious, his contact balance and the power that he has in his legs is second to none across the country. And you saw it there on that last play. When he lowers his shoulder, he's falling forward.
4th time K-State has had a 3rd and 1. They've converted the first 3. And they have the more powerful back, DJ Giddens, in there. Another really talented young man. Giddens gets the handoff. Giddens first down, picking his way forward down to the 12.
Great pickup by Giddens in the Kansas State offense. Just no gap integrity by the BYU defense. They brought pressure on that last play, playing man-to-man outside, really sold out to stop the run. But you ended up with a linebacker and a free safety in the same gap, which is what allowed Giddens to pop out the front side to pick up the fresh set of downs.
And what did you say early? How do you take a crowd out of the game? How do you take the emotion out of this stadium? Long, deliberate drives. This is the second one they've already had. They had to kick a field goal first time. A play fake. Johnson keeps. Johnson around the corner, and a penalty flag thrown. That might be a hold against the tight end, Will Swanson. It was going to be 2nd and short from around the 5. This will be a big penalty if it is against the Wildcats. A little uncharacteristic so far.
Offense number 83. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Will Swanson, tight end group, big part of this BYU or K-State offense.
Yeah, look to the left side of your screen. Tight end Will Swanson getting his hands outside the frame on linebacker Harrison Taggart. Anytime you see those hands go outside wider than the chest, it's an easy call for the officials.
Both Giddens and Edwards in the backfield. They're going to run an option play. Johnson pitches it to Edwards. Edwards cuts it middle. Edwards gets knocked inside the 10. What a nice play that was. Tyler Batty put that big hit on him. Separate everybody at the end of that play.
Well, we talked about the three-headed monster in the open, and you saw it on full display there. Option to give Giddens the football out to the strong side of the field. And then Avery Johnson, here's the little.
Oh, Lord. Come on, Tyler. You're better than that.
Yeah. I don't know if they're teaching acting school here in Provo.
Now that was a flop. Tyler Batty, one of their best players. Play fake. Johnson looking to throw. Buying more time to the end zone. In traffic. Incomplete. That was a dangerous throw, trying to get it to Keegan Johnson.
That was a great job by the front seven of BYU to finally contain Avery Johnson. The secondary's done a really good job tonight of covering down on the wide receivers. But what the defensive front has done is they've allowed Avery to get outside and make plays outside the pocket. Good job of keeping them in, forcing the incompletion.
So 3rd and 5, BYU. Trying to bend but not break for the second time tonight. Johnson, flush left. He's going to turn it all the way back around. Johnson just too fast for Batty, and he throws it behind his intended target. Incomplete. It's 4th down.
Tremendous pursuit by Tyler Batty. We were just giving him a hard time for the flop, but he makes up for it on 3rd down. Trying to chase down quarterback Avery Johnson. Once again, give credit to the BYU secondary. Nowhere to go with the football. BYU playing man-to-man coverage and forcing another field goal. Great red zone stop by the BYU Cougars.
I don't know what's going on here. The band sent some people on the field on the other end of the field. And meanwhile, on this end, we kicked the field goal. And it's up and good. Okay, we got to get our timing a little better. K-State kicks it through. They lead 6-0. Well, Kansas State's had the ball 2 times. They've piled up 160 yards of offense, averaging 80 yards a drive, and they have 2 field goals to show for it. So BYU's defense has found a way to limit the damage. It's 6-0 Wildcats, kicking it into the end zone for a touchback. And I know nobody likes this, but Kansas State's drives are too long. We got to go back and get another break out of the way. We'll come back. BYU has the ball right after this. Okay, yep, now we do.
Our minds are thinking alike. I was going to try to get that out at some point, and I'm also going to mention the time of possession.
All right, here we go. BYU gets the ball back. And a straight ahead run for the Cougars on a drive where, Brock, it feels like BYU needs to at least have the ball for a little while.
Yeah, you definitely get that sense. You know, it's not exactly a gotta have it drive, but Kansas State, they've really controlled this football game, possessing the football for almost already 14 minutes compared to 7 for BYU. This offense needs to find a way to sustain drives to allow their defense to rest for a bit.
And that was that rush total you're seeing there before that last 6-yard run. So add 6 to 1. We can do that math. And Moa straight ahead gets a BYU first down. So there's a start, and I bet you that BYU was sitting there looking at that stat sheet going, 1 rushing yard so far.
Yeah, and that's really been the difference in the game. Both of these football teams didn't shy away from it. They both said throughout the week, you need to establish the run against a great stingy defense. Well, Kansas State was able to. BYU, up until this drive, they just haven't been able to move the football along the ground.
Shot of L.J. Martin sort of hiding behind there in that hooded sweatshirt. the starting running back at the beginning of the year, a power back. They're going to flick it back to Retzloff, who takes a huge hit, flings it out there, and it's caught. Caught by Chase Roberts. Man, that took some courage from Jake Retzloff because he got pummeled and delivered it for a gain of 24 yards.
Oh, I love seeing this play out of Retzloff. This is the second time tonight he's hung in there, taken a huge shot at the end of the play and delivered a strike down the football field. Little flea flicker coming with a little trickery out of offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick.
Now Moa another carry, and he's got some power to him. Young guy, a freshman. Gain of 3.
You know, Fleming, and those are the plays that you get when you establish your run game. You saw the secondary and the linebackers for Kansas State on that flea flicker step up thinking that it's a run play, and that's what allowed Chase Roberts to get behind the defense.
The big guys up front. BYU changed their offensive line coach in the offseason. They were really, really unhappy with how they played up front last year. And TJ Woods came in, and they are giving him a lot of credit for a transformation up front. He's done a good job. Play fake. Retzloff across the middle, and a low throw. Really good catch by Lassiter for a BYU first down.
You know, Flem, it was a low throw, but that is exactly where the football needed to be because middle linebacker Austin Romaine was right there, right at the reception point to deliver a big hit. If Retzloff doesn't put that football low and protect his wide receiver, I don't think Darius Lassiter makes that play.
I'm sure Darius appreciates it. TJ Woods, he's a good coach. He's got a good mustache.
Phenomenal mustache.
7 for 11. That's kind of what an O-line coach is supposed to look like. The running back Moa got smothered. Uso Seumalo, who's a very talented big guy up front.
You know, I want to go back to TJ Woods for a second, though, Flem. You know, you talk about the impact he's made, and the impact needed to be made. Kalani Sitake has never shied away from it. He wants his BYU football teams to be physical up front, and he felt like he lost that, so he went out and got TJ Woods. And now this offensive line through the first 3 games of the season have been much more physical at the point of attack.
When your head coach is a fullback, you better be able to run the ball. Second down and a long 10. Pressure coming. Retzloff toward the end zone. Incomplete. Oh, he had a receiver out there. That was Huanga, the running back, and he sailed it out of bounds.
Oh, that's a throw that Retzloff, when he sees on tape. In fact, he doesn't even need to see it on tape tomorrow. He already knows it right now. Huanga did a phenomenal job winning outside versus man-to-man coverage. It was going to be a walk-in touchdown against the linebacker. That's the matchup that you want to take. Bo Palmer, linebacker for Kansas State, trying to cover a speedster running back. It's a throw Jake Retzloff needs to make.
The young Pokai Haunga is that running back alongside Retzloff on 3rd and long. Retzloff has time, throws it short, the turn up field, and a nice physical run. We'll see where they spot him. Reiner Swanson, the young tight end, he's a true freshman, and I think he's about a yard short. That was a good effort.
It was just a basic shallow cross coming from the tight end across the field. Man-to-man situation. And the tight end, true freshman Reiner Swanson, just beating Bo Palmer across the field for the bring up 4th and short.
And they're going for it, not kicking a field goal. Under 5 minutes to go, second quarter. They love going for it on 4th down, and now BYU, I think they call their own timeout. So they'll get organized. We'll see if they are going to go for it when we come back. Well, next week's ABC Saturday night matchup is the game of the week. Might be the game of the year. Georgia, Alabama from Tuscaloosa. 7:30 Eastern on ABC, on ESPN Plus. All eyes will be on that one. And our college football rankings brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Georgia was #1, but Texas has leapfrogged. Texas has been so impressive. Both Georgia and Alabama off this week, Brock, to get ready for that one.
Yeah, it looks like Arch Manning had some fun in his first career start, and then I look at Missouri squeaking one out late against Vanderbilt at home to keep them undefeated. That was a huge win for the Tigers.
And a great road win for Tennessee. If you're flipping over from that game to us, as that one just ended, BYU on 4th down is going for it. Trailing 6-0, the handoff, and they got it. That's the freshman running back, Sione Moa. Just enough for a BYU first down.
What a tremendous effort by the true freshman running back, Moa.
And you know, I said he got it. It sure looked like he got it. And then the spot was not quite as generous as I thought it was going to be. But they are saying first down.
Yeah, I'm with you, Flem. I thought that was pretty clear cut from our vantage point. But like I was saying, great effort by Moa, would not be denied on 4th and short.
The chain gang got the message very late, so they're scrambling. The defense looks pretty organized. 1st and 10. They can get a first down. Play fake. Retzloff pressured, and he goes down. Takes a big sack. Brendan Mott, who's playing at such a high level. Man, that's huge.
Well, that's a play where Retzloff needs to throw that football away, save the field position. You can't take a sack. But credit Brendan Mott, the former walk-on, now team captain. Just relentless, plays with a high motor, would not be denied. Getting in the backfield and causing a huge loss for the BYU Cougars, who were just knocking on the door.
I mean, this part of the field, that's a killer for BYU.
It is, and I understand where Retzloff is at. You know, they were running a man beater, a man concept. Kansas State was playing zone, nowhere to go with the football. That's okay. It's 1st and 10. Throw the ball away, live to play another down.
And now with the play clock winding down, BYU has to burn another timeout. So BYU maybe stinging from that sack, was an organized timeout here in Provo. Well, this season, Allstate will celebrate every field goal and extra point made by participating universities by making a donation to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. Impressive drive from BYU, 10 plays over 5.5 minutes, but a big sack taken on first down. So now out of the timeout, Jake Retzloff and the offense set up to go on second and very long, second and 22. Swing it out to the left side, and what a catch. Moa is not going to get a whole lot out of it. Man, that was a good. He's got good hands. That's my early scouting report on Sione Moa.
That was a phenomenal catch by the true freshman running back. That football really jumped on him. I don't think he was quite ready for it, but Retzloff, he saw a defender coming into his passing window, knew he needed to get that football out quick. That was great concentration by Moa.
Problem is, it only got a yard, maybe 2. So it's third and long. Haunga now in the backfield.
Key here for Retzloff is no negative plays. You're in field goal range. You have 3 points in your back pocket.
He'll throw it quickly, and that's Haunga along the right sideline. And Kansas State, I think, was sort of playing defense set up to just make sure they didn't allow anything goofy. So now the field goal team comes out.
I really like that call by Aaron Roderick. You're taking the decision making out of your quarterback's hands. You call a catch and carry play, try to make it a more manageable field goal. I think that was a really good call by the offensive coordinator. And then credit Kansas State. You force a sack, you get BYU behind the sticks, and now you're hopefully holding them to just 3 points.
Will Farron, the place kicker, sets up for a 31-yarder from the right hash to try to get BYU on the board with 2:22 to go until halftime. And that's exactly what he does. A little close for comfort, but he got it in there. So it's a 6-3 ball game as we get close to halftime. Well, we got Sunday Night Baseball tomorrow, and it's a huge game for the Mets. Phillies and Mets in New York at Citi Field, 7 Eastern. It's fun. The final week of the big league season is upon us, and we got a lot still to be decided. And that game is a massive one for the Mets, who are in a playoff position. ESPN2 baseball tonight. Sunday Night Countdown kicks off our coverage. It's a good time of the year. Baseball playoffs are coming. We get into the meat of the college football season.
College football is always a great time of year. I know you're a little bit biased to the baseball and baseball playoffs. I get that, and it is exciting. You know, you get into October and the World Series, but nothing's better than college football.
Well, here's what I would say. I like the preseason. I do. But I love conference play in college football.
Yes. And if you're just now tuning into this football game, would you believe that the Big 12 is a 6 to 3 point game with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter? Remember when it always used to be 50 points,
always.
60 points? But now the Big 12 has really transitioned the last 2 or 3 years into a conference that plays phenomenal defense. And when you look across the board, there's some of the best running backs in the country that call the Big 12 home.
Avery Johnson and K-State. This would be a nice test for the young 19-year-old quarterback. See if he can execute on the road a 2-minute drive. Kickoff is going to go again into the end zone for a touchback. How about our player spotlight brought to you by Cintas? The running game for Kansas State. We can't pick just one.
No, well, might as well put the three-headed monster up here. Dylan Edwards, DJ Gibbs, and Avery Johnson all doing a phenomenal job tonight. Kansas State has already rushed for 117 yards as a team. I think the most impressive thing is most of these runs is these running backs and Avery Johnson, they're getting to the second and third level before they're touched, and that's a huge credit to the offensive line for opening up huge holes early.
You know what else is impressive? This is only their third drive. They've only had it twice. We're almost at halftime. A straight ahead run for Giddens. They also do get the ball to start the second half, so this could be the best of both worlds for K-State if they could get some points and get the ball. It's the 2-minute timeout. 6-3 K-State on the move when we come back.
We saw a game.
Check out the Big 12
About the mobility of Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. Listening in on the BYU sideline before this drive, Captain Tyler Batty encouraging his position coach, let's put a double spy on him. We need to make life harder on the quarterback.
The double spy.
That would be a first, but hey, if you can't get it done with one, you might as well put two on him.
Giddens right side run, got tripped up. Stopped short of a first down. We'll see what kind of pace K-State wants to play with here.
You know, I know what Tyler Batty's saying. You know, Avery Johnson's going to make you pay if he gets outside the pocket, but really it's down to the defensive front with your rush lane integrity. You need to push from the defensive end position to quarterback level and then squeeze the pocket to force him to stay inside. And then if your defensive tackles, you just need to build a wall. You can't rush past the quarterback.
K-State very content to go slow here. They might pick it up if they actually convert.
This is really good clock management by the Wildcats.
They have all their timeouts. Handoff, and the ball comes out. The ball's out. BYU scoops. BYU scores. Tommy Prassis.
You talk about giving your fans what they want. Listen to Lavelle Edwards Stadium right now.
Wow, 30-yard return. The ball was just lying there, and there came Prassis, and he didn't bobble it, he didn't kick it. He didn't kick it out of bounds. He grabbed it, and he was off and running.
True freshman out of Chandler, Arizona.
Wow.
Game-changing play.
No kidding. After the way Kansas State was dominating the time of possession and really everything about this game until the last few minutes, now BYU has the lead.
Well, Fleming, we talked all week coming into this football game. We said the team that controls the line of scrimmage and wins the turnover battle is going to win the football game. Well, BYU's defense strikes first with the first takeaway of the game. And the true freshman, Tommy Prasis, making the huge play for the BYU Cougars. You said it, he didn't skip a beat, showing off his athleticism. You see it all the time. The ball's on the ground and maybe he gets kicked, fumbled around. No, that is a clean scoop and score, and that is a very, very rare fumble by running back DJ Giddens.
I mean, if you bobble it and kick it out of bounds, K-State at least keeps it. It's fourth down, but it's not a turnover. If you pick it up but then lose your balance like he was about to, it's not a touchdown. Wow, what a moment for him.
Now, if you're Kansas State, you have to have a short-term memory. You still have all three of your timeouts at your disposal, over a minute to go in the half, and don't forget, you get the ball to start the third quarter. So plenty of opportunities out there for the Wildcats.
We'll see how Chris Kleiman wants to play it here with 3 timeouts and 1:08 on the clock. They'll start from their 25 again. Well, Chris, who was at North Dakota State, this is his 6th year in Manhattan, won 4 national titles in 5 years as the head coach of the Bison. He's one of the best coaches in the country. It's been a while since BYU's had a defensive touchdown, last season against Texas Tech.
I'm really excited to see how this Kansas State offense responds. You have a very young quarterback. Yes, we know how talented he is, but he's making his 5th career start. This is going to show his poise and composure.
Great test. Nobody in the backfield with him. Dropping back to pass. And now going backwards, he'll throw it away. Took a hit and dumped it off. So the clock stops with 1:02 until halftime. It's 2nd and 10.
Well, Tyler Batty asked defensive coordinator Jay Hill for a spy, so that's what Jay Hill did. Watch in the middle of your screen, number 17, Jack Kelly. He's in a spy position on quarterback Avery Johnson, and when there's no place to go with the football down the field, Jack Kelly ignites and forces the incomplete pass.
Jay Hill, that coordinator, said Jack Kelly's going to play in the NFL. He is really talented. 2nd and 10. Johnson with a blitz coming, and he almost, maybe he did throw a pick. Batty picked it off. A second Kansas State turnover in the final minute and a half of this first half. Mom and Dad want to know, did he actually get that interception? I think he did. I don't think it hit the turf.
2 turnovers in the last 30 seconds. Keep an eye on this nickelback. He's the reason why Avery Johnson has to throw the football before he's ready. Kansas State is trying to set up a halfback screen. Dylan Edwards is not quite ready for the football when Avery Johnson delivers it. Ball gets batted up. And Tyler Batty is there for the interception, the 2nd turnover in less than a minute for the Wildcats.
That's a D end. That's a good catch. And for young Avery Johnson, a big mistake. So now BYU, the defensive touchdown. Can their offense get it in the end zone? Amazing how this game has changed. Amazing how quiet it gets when the Cougars have the ball. Retzloff, designed quarterback run. And Retzloff inside the 25, down to the 23. BYU only has 1 timeout.
BYU, they don't need to be in a rush. They need to play with solid tempo here, but they still have a timeout in their back pocket. 40 seconds on the clock.
2nd down. Retzloff in the pocket. Throws. End zone. Caught! Touchdown! Chase Roberts. I can't remember an end of half like this.
This place is juiced up, Flem. What a scene for college football. And how about BYU? Defense coming up with the turnovers. Offense doing a terrific job in sudden change, getting the ball into the end zone. That's how you draw it up.
Now checking to make sure he got in. Amazing. With a minute and a half to go, Kansas State had the ball and they were up 6-3. With 29 seconds on the clock, it's 16-6 BYU. Did he have possession and get a foot down? I thought it was pretty clear that he did. That looks clear to me.
That's a touchdown.
No doubt. No doubt. He got both feet down, and then he got the left foot again a third time.
Great concentration and body awareness by Chase Roberts.
Kansas State's got to just be stunned. Extra point up and good.
Well, Jake Retzloff has a little gunslinger in him. You're going to see right here a go route down the field, and Kansas State's playing a cover 2 defense. There's a very small hole to throw that football into, and Retzloff is not scared to make the throw. He's going to show off the strength that he has in his arm, fitting that football into a tiny window where only Chase Roberts can make a play on the football. And then Roberts does a tremendous job of high pointing it, showing the body control, dragging the toe. That was great sudden change and execution by the BYU Cougars.
And think about this on the K-State side. Now you give BYU all the credit in the world. Avery Johnson, 1 career interception. 1. DJ Giddens, 1 career fumble. And both of them turn it over in the final 2 minutes of this first half. A minute 45 to put 17 points on the board. And K-State is going to bring out the kick return with Edwards, who does have that great speed, but he'll go out of bounds at the 25. I'm thinking that we're going to get a kneel down. We'll see while we have just a moment. Set your alarm clocks. It's coming up on us pretty soon. Just a few hours from now. Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern, getting ready for kickoff with week 3 in the NFL. And then on Monday, 2, not 1, 2 Monday Night Football games at 7:15 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Jaguars are the Bills. Then at 8, a couple of old LSU Heisman Trophy winners, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, going head-to-head. The Commanders and the Bengals on ABC. Kneel down or what?
Yeah, if I'm Kansas State, I'm just handing the football off. Let's get to halftime and regroup.
Giddens, handoff, and time to regroup for the Wildcats. Still a lot of game left. They're down 11, but
that was. And right now, BYU is fully in control of this football game.
Kickoff into the end zone, so the K-State offense will come back on the field. The same part of the field where all the chaos happened. Our Now What moments brought to you by Prudential. And this is what it looked like in case you weren't with us. The reliable DJ Giddens had the ball knocked out, and then the scoop and score by the true freshman Tommy Crassus. And then Avery Johnson got pressured, had to get rid of it quickly. The interception, and a couple plays later that.
Yeah, phenomenal throw by Retzloff to his go-to target, Chase Roberts, just throwing a dime into cover 2, the only spot the football could be. And just like that, you have a huge 14-point swing, 17-6 Cougars.
That's a crazy drive summary from the first half for K-State. Johnson going deep and incomplete. He led his receiver just a little bit too far. Jaden Jackson might have had a step. Let's go down to Stormy.
Guys, I talked to Chris Kleiman at the end of the half as he was walking off of the field with an understandably disappointed Avery Johnson. I asked him what he say to his young quarterback. He said, I just told him he's fine. We're going to get right back into this here. I'll let this play run.
A big run for DJ Giddens with a penalty flag down. We'll see. Might have been offsides the way it was thrown. Kansas State with the big gain on the ground. Go ahead, Stormy.
Just talking to Coach Kleiman about his young players and how they struggled with those turnovers in the last minute and a half. I asked him what he needs to do to bounce back. He just said, I told him, settle in, you're fine, everything's going to be good, we'll bounce back. He thought they were playing really good football before those turnovers happened. He said, we just can't shoot ourselves in the foot, especially in a building like this this because this crowd can get on top of you, as we saw plenty in the first half.
Yeah, and another example of that. That was a great gain on the ground that gets negated by the illegal formation penalty.
You know, I want to go back to what Stormy has been talking about. At the end of the half, Chris Kleiman goes up to his young quarterback. He's smiling, puts his arm around him. That is the sign of a true leader, and that is what a young quarterback needs.
The penalties have been huge. In a lot of ways, K-State had to settle for 2 field goals because of penalties in the red zone. Handoff, Dylan Edwards trying to get to that corner. Edwards, that was walled off, and the ball comes out. I think he was down. The official said he was down. Well, that would have been amazing if K-State had committed another turnover.
It was a really good job by Dylan Edwards. Get into the outside to open space. He's definitely down by contact, but just to make it a 3rd and manageable. I know it's 3rd and 8. It's a lot better than 3rd and 15.
Johnson from the shotgun, pressured immediately, gets away and throws an interception. Intercepted. Another Wildcats turnover. Harrison Taggart, the linebacker, was waiting for it. I don't think Johnson ever saw him.
No, he didn't. And if you're the BYU Cougars, you wanted a fast start to this second half, and that's exactly what you did get. Tyler Batty, team captain, senior, coming from the defensive end position, does a great job on the inside swim move to force the interception by Avery Johnson. And Avery Johnson just throws it right to linebacker Harrison Taggart. Almost, it's one of those plays where you think the young quarterback almost thought he had a purple jersey on.
So now first play from scrimmage and a big run. The cut back inside. Moa all the way down inside the 5. So the defense has sparked the offense. And Sione Moa, the young running back, with a great run of 24 yards.
We're talking to Kalani Sitake this week. He said, I want to see my football team play great in all 3 phases, play complementary football, and BYU right now is doing that at an extremely high level.
He left Jacob Parrish in the dust. So BYU trying to turn a turnover into a touchdown for the 3rd time in the last, 4 minutes of gameplay? 1st and goal. Retzloff. Play fake. Throws. Caught. Touchdown. Lassiter. It's just stunning, and I know the K-State fans are stunned how this game has changed.
BYU looked at this as a statement-like football game early in the season. And I'd say through the first 2 quarters and some change in the 3rd, the Cougars are making a heck of a statement.
Extra point up and good. The 3rd turnover in the last few minutes of this game. And all 3 times it's led to 7 for BYU.
Well, listen, the best football teams in the sport take turnovers and turn them into touchdowns. Taggart with the interception, and then Darius Lassiter winning one-on-one on Keenan Garber for the touchdown.
1, 2. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
We got you.
Yep, beautiful. Thank you.
Back in action.
Okay. Just stunning. And the 3 turnovers leading to 21 BYU points in the last 3 minutes of game time. If you go back 1 more minute of game time, it's 24-0 BYU. It was 6-0 Kansas State approaching the end of the first half. 3 turnovers on the last 9 plays from scrimmage. Edwards watches it go in the end zone. So now the K-State offense has to find a way to get back in this game. Let's go back down to Stormy.
Well, for Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson, this is the first time in his young career he's faced real adversity as a starter. And his quarterback's coach, Matt Wells, had some words of encouragement on the sideline. He said, "You're going through it. We're going through it right here with you. We believe in you. This entire team does." He said, "Keep going and keep throwing, guys."
He had 1 career interception before his last 14 plays and 2 interceptions in those plays.
Yeah, and let's give a lot of credit to this home crowd. We knew that this would be a tough task for Avery Johnson. He has yet to play in front of an atmosphere like this. And you see the turnovers.
So Ken, the 19-year-old.
Play a game.
Oh.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And, you know, the penalties have been a part of this. They had a nice big gain that would have given them a little momentum last drive. They got negated by a penalty.
This is where co-offensive coordinator Matt Wells needs to get into the helmet of Avery Johnson, because now you have that helmet to coach communication. Calm down your young quarterback.
They're going to let Johnson run, and he'll get to the corner. Might have stepped out of bounds, but no, got all the way out across the 30. You know, they've preached to Avery Johnson, well, you're not a running back. You're our quarterback. We want you to hang in there. There are plays to be made down the field. But on that last interception, it looked like there was nothing but grass in front of him. I think maybe some folks would like to see him take off a little more frequently.
You're right, Flem. There was a chance for a huge play if Avery decided to tuck the football and run. But listen, he's a young quarterback. He's going through it. Just his 5th career start. He's going to learn, but don't worry about these mistakes. He's still going to be a great quarterback in the long run.
Hand off to Edwards, and Dylan Edwards did not get there. Stopped about a yard, maybe 2 short by John Nelson. So now it's 3rd down.
This is a really good answer by Kansas State to make it 3rd and short. Right now you can run for the first down, you can throw for the first down, you can get Avery Johnson outside the pocket. Full playbook is at your disposal because you stayed ahead of the sticks.
Giddens is going to get the ball. Giddens, I don't think so. He got stopped. He may have even lost a half a yard. BYU's defense has taken over this game. K-State's going to punt it.
Look at Moa, 41, right in the middle of your screen, coming from the middle linebacker position. Just blows up the offensive line, creates a wall to force the 4th down in the punting situation for the Wildcats. Great play by middle linebacker Sione Moa.
Well, now the punt. And that one might have been touched, maybe. Scooped up by the return man, Parker Kingston. And now he's going to turn the corner. There he goes. Kingston to the 50. Still going. Kingston. Touchdown. That's one of the craziest plays I've ever seen.
Flem, this stadium is about to cause an earthquake in Utah. Unbelievable. Parker Kingston, way to stay with the play. He muffed the punt return, sticks with it. Unbelievable. Goes sideline to sideline, 93 yards.
The muff turned it into like the greatest design return of all time.
Just how the coach drew it up, right?
Okay, so we're reviewing a potential fumble before the touchdown. Does that mean at the very end of the play? That was an unusual announcement. I mean, it just...
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, Flem, is did he let go of the football before he crossed the goal line? Oh, boy.
I don't think so, but good grief. If he had negated one of the great punt returns in history by dropping it before the goal line, I think he got it there.
So in that freeze frame, and that's phenomenal camera work, and at the freeze, that football has crossed the goal line. It's still in his possession.
On the field of the touchdown is confirmed.
So now what? We've got...
There's a sigh of relief.
Yeah, big time. So you kick this extra point and you go back, what, like 7 minutes of game time? Not even 6.5 minutes of game time. It's 31-0. 31-0. And Parker Kingston, he's out of breath. He can't believe it. This is all the weirdness we've seen in the last few minutes. This tops it all.
Well, for BYU, you're currently living a dream, and for Kansas State, everything's been a nightmare the last 6.5 minutes. Like I said, give a ton of credit to Parker Kingston, staying with it, muffs the punt, known to be a dangerous returner, and he showed why. Stuck with the play. Give a credit to the other 10 guys on the field. Heads up, picking up some big-time blocks down the field. And Parker Kingston does the rest.
93 yards. And what did he run about between going backwards, going sideways, and then turning it upfield? What if we had a tracker on him? What do you think he ran? 170 yards?
I was going to say at least 140 or 50.
That's why he was wiped out on the sideline. We're 4,500 feet above sea level.
I think we just saw a little Sports Center's top 10 right in front of our eyes.
That took it out of him. That's literally leaving it all on the field. It was 6-0 with 2.5 minutes to go or whatever in the first half. With 10:45 left in the third quarter, it's 31-6.
Well, listen, strange things always happen in Pac-12 after dark. I think it's now time to pass the baton to Big 12 after dark.
I hope Parker Kingston's all right. Oh, Lord.
Better out than in. Sometimes you just got to let it go.
He may need an IV.
What a play by Kingston.
There's a chance that was one of the longest punt returns in history in terms of total yardage covered on the field. K-State now just trying to stabilize somehow. DJ Giddens with a run on first down. Stormy, it's got to be crazy down there, huh?
Well, I was far too close to what was just happening on the bench. But, yes, it is deafening down here every time BYU makes some of these big plays. Kingston in the tent right now, but it was fun to see Jake Retzloff go up to him and say, man, you're fast.
Giddens into BYU territory. It's college football after dark. We're the last game of the day. You think we weren't going to show that to you? We were showing it. Sorry, if you can't handle it past midnight back east, watch something else. First down, K-State. Giddens picking up some bigger chunks of yardage now inside the 40. I mean, it's weird to say, but there is still a lot of game. It all happens so fast. The game is not actually over yet.
I was just going to say that. Listen, we're just slightly under 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. You've seen the chunk plays that Kansas State can make. If Avery Johnson's able to get his pass game going, he's only thrown for 43 yards tonight. If he can start pushing that football down the field while maintaining that run game, there's a lot of football to be played.
They haven't completed a pass in a quarter and a half. They're going to need to do that. Johnson's got a man open, and it is incomplete. Off the fingertips of Jace Brown.
And that's what Kansas State fans want to see. They want to see the young quarterback push the football down the field. And he put that ball into a very tight window where only his player, Jace Brown, could make a play on the ball. It's a big league throw by the young quarterback.
That close. So 3rd and 5.
Definitely 4-down territory. Don't be surprised if the Wildcats run the football.
They faked it. Johnson's going to run. Johnson will get the first down and more. And I personally, this is me just playing analyst, I think they need more of that.
You know, I don't disagree. Listen, I understand you want to protect your quarterback, especially a young one, right? He's still developing physically, mentally. But you can see how dangerous he is when he gets outside the pocket. So as much as you want to protect the quarterback, you also have to do whatever it takes to win football games. And Avery is dangerous when he gets out to the perimeter.
Yeah, I get what Connor Riley's saying about we got to keep this guy healthy. They do. Hand off left side. No. Before the play started, I think another false start.
False start. Offense. Not all 11 players were set. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Just not used to seeing it with this K-State team.
Game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 8:44.
It's the
8:44 on the game clock.
5th pre-snap penalty. So 1st and 15 from the BYU 30. Edwards didn't get it. Johnson kept it. And a good tackle there by Blake Mangelson.
Well, there's just no air in the front. Mangelson does a tremendous job of getting off the block, but there's nowhere to go with Avery Johnson running the football. BYU is selling out to stop the run. They didn't have a single safety deep on that play. All 11 players for BYU right now are committed to stopping the run.
Well, that thing, the note we said a minute ago still applies. They haven't completed a pass in a quarter and a half. They're going to throw here short. There's a completion to one of their good tight ends. So they get down to the 20 to set up 3rd and 5. That's Garrett Oakley.
Good job by the Wildcats making it 3rd and manageable.
Now there's a BYU player down. That's Harrison Taggart, who had the interception. So hopefully Taggart's okay. Maybe cramping up on this field. We'll be back to Provo right after this. Well, earlier this week, it was a cool seeing team of Bristol Myers Squibb employees pedaling across the beautiful state of Utah as part of the Coast to Coast for Cancer ride, raising money in support of the V Foundation. You can check out, if you'd like more info, you can help donate. Great cause, cancerbikeride.org. We're in Provo. It's a great place to take a bike. Look at the moon, and that shot just a moment ago. We watched the moon rise up above the Wasatch Mountains. You can see just at the bottom of the screen the peak of one of those mountains.
Just stunning. So beautiful here.
3rd down and 5 for K-State. Stunned with what's happened in this game. Johnson's keeping it. Johnson will get away. There goes Avery Johnson inside the 10, down to about the 7, where it'll be 1st and goal.
Well, you just said it a minute ago, Flem. You know, you think Avery Johnson needs to get outside to the perimeter, run the football a little bit more, use his legs. And this shows exactly why. He makes multiple defenders miss. You see defenders running into each other, lack of communication, who has him in man-to-man coverage, who's spying him. You can see the stress that Avery Johnson can put on a defense when he gets outside the pocket.
K-State's got to punch this one in, and they would do well to do it quickly. Edwards in the backfield, and another one. It happens here in Provo. We were here for a game a few years ago. Arizona State committed like...
Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
And that was Jaden Daniels, Arizona State. They committed like 8 or 9 of those in one game in front of this crowd.
I remember watching that from my couch, being extra frustrated with my Sun Devils, but you got to credit this crowd here. I mean, it is a very, very difficult environment to play in, one of the best in the entire Western United States.
Hopefully you weren't yelling at the play-by-play guy. Wasn't
Never.
my fault.
Never. I would never do that.
1st and goal from the 12. Johnson slings it out left side, and a good open field tackle. Oakley, the tight end, got dragged down by Crew Wakely. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Great tackle. Touchdown saving tackle by Crew Wakely. Redshirt junior out of Sandy, Utah. The Wildcats trying to get the passing game going, getting the tight ends involved. This drive out to the flat, just trying to outflank safeties and linebackers and get some easy kind of breather throws going for Avery Johnson.
2nd and goal, and time is winding off that clock. Handoff, Giddens trying to bounce it right. He had nowhere to go. And Tyler Batty makes another play on the defensive line. And maybe one of his teammates down. Looks like pointing to his hamstring. Maybe another cramp for a BYU player. Another timeout for a quick break. Well, there's your Taco Bell Live student section. All season long student sections across the country competing to be the Taco Bell Live student section of the year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more. And they have been a factor tonight. Chef's kiss how they've impacted this game. It's 3rd and goal, K-State. The Wildcats have been blitzed by the Cougars in the last few minutes. Johnson is going to run for it. Avery Johnson will try to fight his way to the goal line. He got stopped short. Man, a tough run for the young quarterback. Tommy Prassis, who had the scoop and score, might have been the guy who held him from getting in the end zone.
I'll tell you what, Avery Johnson is just so much fun to watch. Credit the BYU defense. Nowhere to run. Kansas State trying to run right up the middle. They completely take that away. Johnson bounces it outside. And they're
going for it on 4th and goal. They have to, and now K-State is going to have to burn a timeout. Man.
First charge timeout, Kansas State.
That was a good wind sprint at altitude by their head coach. Chris Kleiman still got it. Going back to his old defensive back days.
Get him on the track team. That was outstanding.
I mean, we're 4,500 feet above sea level. We got guys cramping all over the place, and the head coach is running his best 40.
Yeah, I think that was a good timeout. Obviously, there was some confusion, and this is a gotta-have-it moment for the Wildcats football team. If they're going to hang in there, still have a fighting chance as you approach the 4th quarter, have to get a touchdown here.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Is this a quarterback keeper here from the goal line?
You know, it depends. If you think your offensive line can outman the BYU defensive line, you just QB sneak it. If you don't think you can, then you try to get the football to the perimeter to give Avery Johnson some options.
4th and goal. Johnson keeps it. Johnson, penalty flag, dives for the pylon, and he is spotted short. I don't know. I couldn't tell. The line judge didn't really make a call.
I think his foot might have been out of bounds before the football crossed the goal line.
I mean, it's huge because if the penalty's on K-State, which it is, yeah, you might decline it, right, if he didn't get there.
Yeah, 100%.
So you would decline it.
You decline it, and now it's BYU's football.
So they're saying it was a touchdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we never got a signal. You got a signal.
Well, no. The side judge to our side signaled that he was short. So we saw it correct. But yes, if it is in doubt, if it is a touchdown, you take the penalty and move him back.
What a costly penalty again. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Down on the goal line, things happen fast. It gets a little chaotic down there. I like to let the big fellas play up front in goal line situations.
So now it's 4th and goal from the 10. Obviously a much different scenario than from the half-yard line. And maybe that last play call told you everything you need to know about what K-State thinks. Now what?
Court ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under review.
So they're going to review this to see if it actually was a touchdown. If it wasn't, then BYU would get the ball.
Yeah, I think this is a good review because you can see Avery Johnson's foot goes out of bounds right about the time the football is approaching the goal line. Question is does the football cross the goal line before the foot goes out of bounds?
Yeah, and the real question is his toe on that sideline at the moment of truth right there? If it is, I think he's short. And I think he touches white.
Foot is on the white. I think that football's short.
Yeah.
So the official to our side did rule it short initially. I think he had the correct call.
Right there. I think foot out of bounds. Wow. Ball not at the goal line.
Talk about a game of inches. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a turnover on downs. They'll decline the penalty, won't they?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. And if that ends up being short, just like we're seeing it, what a stop by the BYU defense.
And it's one of the stories of this game. Their first 2 drives, they marched down the field almost unchallenged, and then got in the red zone and started making mistakes and had to kick 2 field goals. And they marched down the field this time until they got into this area of the field.
Yeah, the pre-snap penalties have certainly hurt Kansas State tonight. 6 of them on the game.
I think that's a pretty darn good look. You know, sometimes these plays, to me, that's pretty clear. I mean, unless you think somehow the camera's deceiving and the toe is not on the white, I think that's short.
I do too. I understand that the officials got to get this call correct. This is a very pivotal play in the football game.
Offense looks like it's coming off the field. I think they know. All right, we're going to get a good explanation. I can feel it coming from Mike McCabe.
After review, the ruling on the field of a touchdown stands. However, there was a holding penalty on the play.
Wow.
10 yards. It will be enforced from the previous spot. 4th down will be replayed.
Now I'm just shocked by that. Shocked. I guess. I mean, I guess the theory is that if you're not 100% certain that the shoe is on the line.
Well, you have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. And to me, that is indisputable. Foot's out of bounds, football short, but maybe the officials had another vantage point that we don't have.
I mean, maybe that's the look that they're looking at and saying, is there a blade of grass between his shoe and the line? It looks like he's out to me, but Kansas State is now going to kick a field goal. After all that, Chris Tennant will kick it through. As if we needed another totally bizarre sequence in this game. We got it. 3rd long drive, 3rd time deep in the red zone, 3rd time having to settle for 3.
Give a lot of credit to the BYU defense tonight.
Yeah, they have come through big time in those big spots. All right, well, the next stop on the F1 schedule is the Singapore Grand Prix at the Marina Bay Street City Circuit. Coverage begins at 6:30 a.m. Eastern with Grand Prix Sunday right here on ESPN and the app. So the race begins at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's now, what, 1 a.m. Eastern? Those F1 fans are already getting ready.
Get that alarm set.
BYU is going to get the ball back here.
The BYU front line is setting up just in case Kansas State decides to try to do a surprise onside kick.
There's not been a better special teams unit in the country going back over the last 2 decades at K-State.
No question.
They practice it, they care about it, they make big plays on special teams. This one probably is going to go deep, I would think. And it does through the end zone. So now BYU's offense, they haven't been on the field very much in, like, say the last hour. They've made the most of their few plays out there. Jake Retzloff has made some big time plays. Hasn't been perfect, but he's back on the field now with a 31-9 lead.
He's played a solid ball game to this point. 12 of 17, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of those coming on short fields off of turnovers.
First play of this drive, Moa gets the carry left side, and Sione Moa, tough to bring down. I know their top 2 running backs are missing, but they may have found something in Moa.
I agree. Mo has brought some juice tonight. He's got some wiggle. You can see his speed. He's shown off his hands a couple times, catching some passes from the backfield. For just a true freshman, he's brought some juice tonight. And at 5'10", 215 pounds, he's a load when he gets going downhill.
He's shown really good hands in the pass game. He's caught 3 passes. He had 17 yards rushing on the season before tonight. BYU, you figure running the ball now with this big lead is going to be a big part of the plan. Little fly sweep and a first down. Not much more, but Keelan Marion gets just enough. Austin Romaine with a tackle. K-State's defense is, if K-State has any chance to come from behind, they need a big play.
No, they certainly do. They need to come up with a turnover. You know, 3 turnovers for the Kansas State offense. BYU's done a great job of protecting the football tonight, and now they're in this mode where they're going to milk the clock. They're going to let the play clock go down low every play and try to establish the run here late in the game.
Moa gets another carry, and this time nowhere to go. Stopped at the line of scrimmage by Romaine.
Like I said, you can see the pace BYU wants to play with here. They're in no hurry, looking to the sideline, taking their time, huddling up. They're going to milk some clock. And you're right, Flem, Kansas State, they need to find a way to get this football back to their offense as soon as possible.
Yeah, every first down means a few more minutes are going to work off the clock, at least a couple more. Retzlaff rolling right, throws, and incomplete. Well, that was an interesting throw into some traffic intended for Marion. Clock stops. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, dangerous throw by Retzlaff. Aaron Roderick, offensive coordinator, trying to get his quarterback outside the pocket and work a high-low combination into the zone defense. Retzlaff a bit off target, underthrowing that football, which is what allowed the cornerback to come into play.
This is a must-stop for K-State. Enoch Nawahine is now in the backfield alongside Retzlaff. He'll empty the backfield. Here comes some pressure. Retzlaff dumps it short. That pass is caught, but the open field tackle, Cody Epps, gets brought down well short. Another good play by Brendan Mott. So it's 4th down, and I would think that BYU will punt the ball.
Oh, no question here. Got to play field position, especially with a 31-9 lead here approaching the 4th quarter. It was a great tackle, though, by Brendan Mott in the open field, because if he doesn't make that tackle, that little inside tunnel screen to the wide receiver was going to go for a first down.
Vanderhaar with the dangerous Dylan Edwards. Now there's a possible big play for K-State. See if Vanderhaar even gives him a chance. Maybe just angle this one toward a sideline. No. Bounces it short of Edwards, so that's going to do the trick. No chance for Edwards to scoop that one up. K-State's offense will come back on the field. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, guys, if you want a bright spot for this Kansas State offense tonight, Avery Johnson announced this week he's dedicating the rest of his season to his former high school principal, Dr. Chris Botts, and his fight against stage 4 cancer. So every touchdown Johnson scores for the rest of the year is going to help provide funds for Botts, who's in his 2nd bout with the disease. And Avery told me it means the world to him that he's in a position to give back to someone who's impacted his life and so many others in so many ways.
That's really cool. That's very special, and it says a lot about the young man that Avery Johnson is. It goes well beyond football.
First down, play fake. Johnson, that pass completed outside the 20. Brown turns it upfield and gets tackled at the 22-yard line. ESPN, I was talking about his beloved teacher. ESPN supports the College Football Playoff Foundation's Extra Yard for Teachers Week every year to celebrate great teachers like Dr. Botts across the country who've inspired so many of us. Nominate a great teacher in your community by visiting cfpfoundation.org. First down on the completion to the tight end, Will Swanson.
It's a great job by Swanson to understand where he was at on the field. Tightrope in the sideline, bringing that catch in.
We got another cramp, I think. Blake Mangelson.
Mangelson, one of the pillars to this BYU defensive line, and he has been for multiple years. little bit undersized at 275 pounds for a defensive tackle, but he is very, very physical and very disruptive up front.
So he's going to get up and head to the sideline. We thought it was going to be a little chillier here in Provo.
We're not going to name names, but someone said, hey, you might want to pack the heavy winter jacket for this one. But it has been an absolutely beautiful night here in Provo.
It's still 62 degrees. I'll name names. Brian Adair told us, bring your winter coat.
It's T-shirt weather tonight.
We love Brian, one of our great camera people, and it helps us set up the booth every week.
He's the best.
He's a terrible weatherman. Pitch play, and Giddens will fall forward out to the 34-yard line. So second down coming up. Final minute and a half of the third quarter. K-State, they got a field goal again last time. They got to play fast if they have any hope. Johnson kind of running forward. It was a nifty play. Found Johnson, Keegan Johnson, and he spotted short. He got out of bounds, but did not get the first down. 3rd and 1.
Yeah, Kansas State's been playing with some decent tempo on this drive, but when you're down 3 possessions, you know, you almost need to be in a 2-minute mode, playing as fast as you possibly can, because you need to get multiple scores, multiple stops.
Because if you can get at least one more, then maybe you sort of change the feel of the fourth quarter. Johnson, another throw, and that one was dropped. Jaden Jackson had it and he dropped it.
It was great recognition by quarterback Avery Johnson. There was only one defender for 2 wide receivers to the short side of the field. Like you said, dropped by Johnson.
The head coach is not real happy right now with all the mistakes he's seeing. A 4th down. A keeper. Johnson gets outside. No! He gets tripped up. Isaiah Glasker got him to the ground. And another stop for the BYU defense.
Such a good play by the redshirt sophomore Isaiah Glasker. Outside linebacker for the BYU Cougars. Sets the edge, keeps his outside arm free just like he's coached to do. And he's there to make the tackle on Avery Johnson. Glasker's to the right side of your screen, taking on the tight end. Will Swanson defeats the one-on-one block, ducks inside, and just snags Avery Johnson's shoelace.
It's been that kind of night for K-State and that kind of night for this BYU defense. How improved is the BYU defense? They were last in college football last year in sacks. They didn't cause any havoc. They didn't make any big plays. It's been nothing but big plays tonight. Moa inside the 35.
You know, from talking about that BYU defense, like you said, they only had 11 sacks on the year, gave up a ton of points last season, but this year completely turned it around. They're top 15 in a lot of categories and playing inspired football in front of the home crowd tonight.
Have you ever seen a game quite like this?
And it kind of snowballed at the end of that first half. We're going to find out what we're made of here in the fourth quarter. Our kids will keep playing hard.
Appreciate your time.
You bet.
Well, the first play of quarter number 4, Moa got swallowed up by Cody Stufflebean, defensive lineman for K-State. 31-9. BYU has 181 total yards of offense. 181 yards, and they're up 31-9.
We got to remember the majority of the points they scored all came off of turnovers, short fields. Then you had the punt return for a touchdown, the scoop and score on defense. They haven't had to drive the field tonight.
3rd and 8 for Retzloff and the BYU offense. Retzloff throws wide open, caught. Hill, the tight end, first down and more. Down to the 21.
Nice play by Keanu Hill, former wide receiver last season that converted to tight end for this season. And he's a matchup nightmare. Being covered by a linebacker, he's going to win that matchup 100 out of 100 times. As BYU continues on to Big 12 play, watch for Hill to have a big season matchup against linebackers and safeties.
He still runs like a wide receiver.
Yes, he does.
The 1st and 10 Cougars. After converting 3rd and long, Moa again just nowhere to go. Chidi Obiizor led the way.
Yeah, that's a tough situation for BYU. Kansas State completely selling out, all-out blitz to stop the run. I know BYU wants to run the football, keep the clock moving, but if you're going to get a loaded box with 8-9 guys in there, you might need to signal out a little go route to a wide receiver and take a shot down the field with a one-on-one matchup.
Well, you got Chase Roberts wide right. He's your big play guy, Mr. Reliable. 2nd down and 11. Retzloff checked into a run play.
That's exactly what he did, Flem. You heard the kill, kill, kill right before the snap, and that's because Kansas State was playing a soft zone coverage. They weren't getting ready to sell out to the run on that defensive play. Great recognition by Retzloff to check to a run.
Still, though, Austin Moore made the tackle right at the line of scrimmage, so it's 3rd down and 10. BYU's very happy, though, as long as the clock is moving. They'll give it to Moa, right side run, and Moa breaks a couple of tackles. Another one. There he goes. Touchdown. What a run by the freshman. "21 yards, and it only seemed like he trucked the entire Kansas State defense."
What an incredible run. Just unbelievable by the true freshman. College football fans get to know the name. Sione Moa, just a true freshman out of Victorville, California, but he has made his presence known tonight. And nothing more impressive than that last run.
That was a guy who had 6 carries for 17 yards all year coming into tonight. And he's made some big plays. Extra point up and good. We got to see that one again, don't we?
Well, listen, 2 starting running backs out of the game. How is the run game going to be for the Cougars tonight? Just fine behind Moa's terrific run for another touchdown, Cougars. about myself.
Okay. Well, we honor those who serve. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union, the all-time greatest Cougar coach, Lavelle Edwards. The stadium's named after him. Served 2 years in the Army during the Korean War. The all-time wins leader. Won a national championship. O'Brien Award winners. Outland Trophy winners. Heisman Trophy winner. An incredible legacy here in Provo. The stadium's named after him. He built this program. And nights like tonight, you realize he built something pretty special. This one's going to be returned this time by Dylan Edwards. And he just had no room. Great coverage. Hey, have you ever seen this? This is Cosmo Cougar. That is a legitimate barbell with actual weights. He did a backflip with it.
Clem, it's incredible. I thought I saw the best stuff already in the game. That might take the cake.
Wrap your mind around that one. I don't care how much weight is loaded on that thing.
Is that what you do at the gym when you load up the barbell?
Yeah. Just like that. Largest crowd in a long time here. You saw that note too. Just incredible this game. Nice delivery by Johnson over the middle. And out across the 35 to Jace Brown. Well, for Kansas State at this point, it's just about trying to get out of here healthy and maybe build a little confidence back in your offense. On offense, it's been dominated by BYU. Kansas State has moved the ball on some drives. They've had some positive stuff. They've run the ball effectively, over 200 yards of rushing.
No question. The run game's been there all night. They've done some good things defensively. Got to clean up the penalties. But I would say this. These reps right now, and I know the game's out of hand, but these reps for this young quarterback, Avery Johnson, are huge. You can learn so many things here. Just a couple plays ago, I think he threw the best pass of the night. His back foot got the ball out. These reps matter.
Play fake again. Throws it over the top, and his guy fell down. Trey Spivey. But now it's third down. And look, Jay Hill's been telling everybody who will listen, this is a different BYU defense. It's the defense he wants. With the speed, with the depth, able to pursue.
Yeah, and you can see why. Jay Hill wants a physical defense that can play man coverage, load up the box, stop the run, confuse quarterbacks, bring pressures, be multiple. He's done a phenomenal job tonight.
A really good coach. This is his second year as the DC here in Provo. 3rd and 7. Another good throw, and that one is just enough for a Kansas State first down. The tight end Garrett Oakley. And now look, for Jay Hill, it's been a crazy start to the year. Jay, what was it, 2 days before the season opener, on the Thursday before the Saturday opener, had a heart attack.
That's right, Thursday evening. Rushed to the hospital.
And somehow here he is coaching tonight, and he's been coaching essentially all year. That's Jace Brown again. And I think in some ways, you know, you talk to these players for BYU, the scare, and everybody, I mean, there was a time they thought they were going to lose their coach. He had a heart attack, and it's motivated him to play for Jay. Another completion to Brown. Johnson took a hit. Stormy?
Yeah, Dave, speaking to that, Tyler Batty even said that first game when Coach Hill was fresh out of the hospital, everyone was like, what are you doing here? Take care of yourself. But being here was taking care of himself. And Batty said nothing like that type of mentality to make you want to run through a wall for that guy. Really puts things in perspective, but the team has certainly rallied around him.
His defense has made some huge plays in this game. That one was juggled and incomplete. Trying to hit Brown again. So it'll be 3rd and 3.
think that was a pretty well thrown ball by the young quarterback. Jace Brown had a couple drops tonight, adding to the list there, just trying to hit a quick inside slant to pick up the first down. Drops the football.
Jaden Jackson had a big drop on a crucial play in the third quarter. Third and 3. Pressure comes. Johnson goes down. A sack for BYU. And he just got swarmed. That's Jack Kelly.
Well, this BYU football defense, they are not taking their foot off the gas. Jay Hill staying aggressive until the game's over. You're going to see a cornerback blitz with some linebacker help here. A lot of teams would just go into a prevent defense at this point in the game. Kansas State only running a 5-man protection. Halfbacks free releasing. Not enough guys to block the pressure.
So after the sack, it's 4th and 12. Johnson again has to step up across the middle, and I think it was knocked away. Will Swanson, it was headed right to him. Incomplete, and a turnover on downs.
What a stop by the Cougar defense.
Well, BYU gets the ball back up big.
ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app.
It's ESPN College Football presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 8:47 to go. 38-9 BYU against undefeated number 13 Kansas State. Now BYU's undefeated themselves. Putting on a show. The crowd's been into it. By the way, this was the 4th down play. We looked at it again. I think that's another drop by a Kansas. I'm not trying to pick on Will Swanson, the tight end, but that throw was right there.
I was going to say that's one of the best throws I've seen out of a young quarterback make. That was a dime.
That's a great throw, and instead of a conversion, and First down inside the 20. It was a turnover on downs.
Well, and you heard Chris Kleiman say to Stormy earlier, at the start of the fourth quarter, this isn't all on our young quarterback tonight. It's been a collective effort as a team, which is why we haven't played well, and that was just another example.
And he did throw the 2 picks, but the fumble that was a scoop and score, the punt return for a touchdown, which almost never happens against Kansas State. They're so good on special teams. The drops, the penalties, the pre-snap penalties. Penalties were a huge factor early in this game. Kansas State was going to be up by a couple touchdowns early, if not for penalties.
You know what, but this was talked about all week. When you talked to Chris Kleiman, he knew it was going to be a challenge traveling out to Provo. It's a 9:30 local time start in Kansas, late game, and then combine that with this environment that's taking place here tonight, young quarterback.
It's quite an assemblage of ways to score for BYU tonight.
Well, you got to remember, it was 6-0 Kansas State, fully in control of the game with less than 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, and then since then it's been 38-3 BYU.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a game unfold quite like this one. Another handoff to Nawahine for no gain. So ticking down to 7 minutes to go. BYU is going to stay undefeated. The Cougars head to Baylor next week. And Baylor will be reeling after an incredible way to lose a game in Boulder. Kalani Sitake's team, they were picked to finish 13th in the Big 12.
And I think I remember that for West Virginia last year. They were picked to take dead last, put together a phenomenal season. That's why you can't pay too much attention to the preseason rankings.
A little flip forward and the open field tackle on Reiner Swanson. 4th down. BYU, this part of the field, they might go for it. They might punt it. I think they'll punt it.
Fleming, and you're talking about future schedules, and Baylor, tough loss in Boulder tonight, and overtime with Colorado. This, that, and the other. Utah going on the road, beating Oklahoma State. The Big 12 is wide open.
Oh.
The Big 12 conference, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch as we head into October and November. There's a lot of teams that are going to be contending for that title.
Well, Utah just up the road from here. Obviously, they're one of the favorites. You win a game in Stillwater today without Cam Rising. That's a great road win for the Utes.
The defensive performance by Kyle Whittingham's team, oh my goodness.
Now delay a game. Iowa State's been very impressive. Iowa State.
Game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
By the way, one more thing in BYU's favor tonight. That is the first penalty, and they took it intentionally. They did it on purpose. That's the first penalty against BYU all game.
Telling you what, BYU is getting back to the BYU football team of old that they had here for decades. Physical, tough, disciplined, explosive pass game, good defense.
Timeout. BYU.
Now a timeout. I think you're right. And I guess the one difference, because so many of the great BYU teams over the years have been led by offense and passing offense and all the quarterbacks, the incredible history of quarterbacks here. And this year's team, I think the defense is going to, not to say the offense isn't capable. They made some big plays tonight, but I think the defense is leading the way.
Absolutely. You talk to the BYU coaching staff throughout the week. You talk to some of the players, and there was a common theme. When you talk to the defensive guys, they said, we have a chip on our shoulder. Last season, our first season in the Big 12, it was an embarrassment. We only won 5 games. We got pushed around at times. So there was a massive emphasis in the offseason to get bigger, stronger, more physical. That's how Kalani Sitake wants to play. He was a college fullback. Let's remember that. And BYU is showing that they've made a change.
The punt, fair catch, made at about the 9. Timeout in Provo with 5:39 to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. I remember that. So where are y'all from? I live there. Okay.
Okay, just a second. That's gonna be 12.98. You got it now.
You really like it? My mom's gonna be like, who are these people?
Experience the ease and convenience of flying from Provo Airport to any destination. At just 60 yards from the drop-off curve in the gate, Provo Airport is your convenient connection to anywhere in the world.
Well, tomorrow, the WNBA playoffs are going to kick off. It's been such a great year for the WNBA. Dream, Liberty, 1 Eastern. The Fever, the Sun, you know who's playing in that one at 2:30 on ABC. A game at 5, a game at 10 with Asia Wilson and the Aces. So 4 games to start the WNBA playoffs tomorrow. And whoever wins those games, they can come to the BYU Creamery and get some ice cream.
How good does that look? I want the bowl on the left. What was that?
Maybe the greatest on-campus ice cream in the country. The Penn State people will probably fight you if you say that, but right on campus, and it is packed on a Friday night. We were over there last night to check it out. The old BYU Creamery. 38 tonight. Everybody on BYU's team gets an ice cream cone after this game. They have really played well. We were getting ready to start, and we got another cramp. I think that's Cam.
It's Crew Wakely.
Crew Wakely, rather.
Yeah.
That's the second time for him.
Free safety. Bunch of Cougars been cramping tonight.
New quarterback for K-State just put a big cone of ice cream on it. He'll be fine. Hand off to Joe Jackson. So K-State's putting the backups in with 5:35 to go. Just going to try to get out of here and get home. And Avery Johnson, look, the stat line doesn't look great tonight. I don't think he played as poorly as the stat line would indicate.
No, I agree. I think Kansas State as a whole did some good things. Avery Johnson, he's going to learn from this experience. He's so young, only his 5th career start. He has a lot of great football ahead of him.
I mean, you got to help him out. You got a young 19-year-old quarterback, first real true road test of his career, and you're dropping passes all over the place and committing penalties, putting yourself in bad spots.
That's exactly right. When you have a young quarterback, you'll hear every coach say, hey, listen, the other 10 around him need to play great. And the other phases, defense, special teams, need to play great. Well, defense didn't play great. Special teams gave up a huge punt return for a touchdown. And then we talked about the pre-snap penalties by the offense. So Avery Johnson did not have a lot of help tonight.
3rd and 2 for Jacob Knuth, now in at QB, and the K-State offense. And the run straight ahead for a Kansas State first down. K-State gets Oklahoma State at home. And I look, it's still, this conference is so wide open. I don't want to call it an elimination game, but after what's going on tonight with the Wildcats and Oklahoma State losing at home today to Utah, if you want to win a Big 12 championship, losing next week, that game is critical for those two teams. Knuth finds a tight end across the middle. That's Will Ancio. Penalty flag and a couple of them back behind the play.
personal foul. Roughing the passer, defense number 45. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Viliami Kuaha. It's a late night for all of us.
I get it.
Especially that guy.
I understand it, little man. Right there with you, pal.
It's easier to take if you're rooting for the team that's up 38-9. Knuth scrambles and gets a couple. Well, since we're talking about it, Oklahoma State at home, then right back after a week off to the Rocky Mountains to take on Colorado.
Well, Flem, you said it best. One loss in the Big 12 Conference more than likely is not going to keep you out of a chance to play for the title, but two just might. So next week, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, that's going to be must-watch TV, especially for all the other schools in the Big 12. That game is going to have a huge influence on what happens for the rest of the year with Oklahoma State and Kansas State.
For longtime K-State fans, that's a fumble, and the ball got kicked out of bounds. Wildly sort of kicked out of bounds. Isaiah Moa, who's Sione Moa's brother, but not the other Sione Moa's brother. All right, so the ball goes back to the spot of the fumble.
What a hit by Moa. Coming in from the side, Knuth wasn't ready for it.
If you've followed K-State forever, and K-State's been a Big 12, Big 8 team for decades and decades and decades, there's so many teams on the schedule that Kansas State hasn't played in a long time, or in some cases ever.
Game clock operator, please restore the game clock to 2:55 and start the clock. Am I ready for play?
We're putting time back on the clock.
And Chris Kleiman talked about that this week. He said, listen, we play 5 teams that we've never really played. We don't really know them. So we had to do extra film study in June and July to get to know these programs so that we feel good when we get to game week.
While BYU, things are setting up pretty nicely for the Cougars. That run on 3rd and short, I don't know. It's close. And I think they are signaling first down. So first down for K-State. We'll see if Kansas State runs a play before the 2-minute timeout.
Well, they waved it was a first down, and now they marked it as 4th and short.
This has happened a couple times in the game. They were bringing the chain gang up, and they're not going to get it on 4th down. So the game's going to be over. Joe Jackson couldn't get there. Isaiah Moa, another good play. The younger brother of Sione, the two brothers playing on defense at the same time on that sequence, and younger bro with a heck of a play.
Couple great plays in that sequence. Forced the fumble, coming off the edge, making a huge tackle for the 4th down stop.
It shows you a young player who hadn't had a chance to play much make a big play like that, how much that means to his teammates. So now 2:02. We got to run one more play before the 2-minute timeout. And then we'll come back and BYU will finish off a win. The students have not gone anywhere.
And a lot of the crowd hasn't left, and I think that this was a fan base that needed this moment, right? They've had a lot of tough times the last couple years, and they've been looking for that signature win to get back to the BYU of old, and they got it tonight.
Last win against a ranked team was a win against Baylor in 2002. They're going to get another one here tonight in Provo. Well, coming up on SportsCenter after the game, you got to see the ending of the Colorado-Baylor game. Amazing. And drama in the big house. Michigan with quite a win over USC. Injury updates from the NFL. Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, and much more. SportsCenter after we're finished right here on ESPN. What a night for BYU. 2 minutes to go, up 38-9. And a first down run. And a good one. Nawahine. Quick peek up top of what's coming next weekend. Friday night, top 10 Miami will play at home, and then the big game on Saturday down at Tuscaloosa.
But the Hurricanes, I mean, boy, coming out the gate early in the year, Cam Ward making some noise down there in South Florida. Mario Cristobal has his team playing really, really solid football right now.
Hugs on the BYU side, licking their wounds on the K-State side. Gary Bohannon will take a knee. And they're going to have to do that one more time before the players come out and shake hands. For Jake Retzloff, who knows where BYU's season will go from here, but they're getting better and better.
No question. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, Kalani Sitake and the rest of his team, they came into this season with a chip on their shoulder. They felt embarrassed after how last season went down, only winning 5 football games. They were out physical at times, too many turnovers, didn't play great defense. But you can tell the changes they made in the offseason, the work they put in the offseason, it has paid dividends. And what a poor performance tonight against number 13, Kansas State.
38-9 is going to be the final score. They did it with disruption on defense, big plays on offense, an incredible special teams touchdown in every phase. They beat a very good Kansas State team.
That's right. It was a complete team game for the Cougars. All 3 phases showed up tonight, played big-time football. But a lot of football to be played. Kansas State still well within reach to chase the Big 12 title. And the BYU Cougars off to a fantastic start at 4-0.
What a win for BYU.